To see examples of what we talked about on this episode, along with further information, go to bunchofdorks.com.
Welcome everyone to
Two Dimension Podcast,
the comic book podcast
with no direction. Two Dimension. Two Dimension. What's up, everybody? How you doing? You know the voice. It's me, Rook. Joining me is always Mr. Don Moore.
Hello, everybody, and this has been a
Interesting
circus of dysfunction.
So it's really funny. We're supposed to have a guest tonight. He unfortunately could not make it. We're gonna hope to get him back on soon. Don and I have been sitting here for not even like 10 minutes, and I feel like we've already had like a half an hour conversation about comics. So we were like, you know what? Let's keep the momentum going. Don, earlier you mentioned that you have bought yet another Mobius book.
Oh yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I got it in yesterday. There's it's another Airtight Garage book. I'm going to save it for later to talk about. But I always liked the cover. I kept seeing it in French, and I thought, wow, that's something. After Mobius went back to France in I guess the early '90s, his work dried up. You know, Dark Horse is putting out little tiny manga-sized books, which, you know, it shouldn't be that way. But they were printing some of his work, like The Man from Seguri, which is an extension of Airtight Garage, I guess Airtight Garage 2. But it was in black and white and really small. And I don't think they ever finished it. And anyway, I just found out the other day it's out, so of course I ordered it right away. It came in yesterday. I'm bouncing off the walls, but there have been other books that I've gotten that I've read. Just to set one up, I'm going to go out and say this. I have never liked the character of the Martian Manhunter with DC.
I mean, legit, I've heard this before from other people.
Now, there's no hate. I mean, he was fine. I always read him in the Justice League. The old Mike Sikowski issues from, I guess, the 50s and 60s.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, I didn't know who he was. He was a green guy with a red and blue costume that was pretty crummy.
Yeah.
He was like
nothing impressed me about him when I saw him for the first time.
Well, honestly, as a kid reading it, it looked like they drew a really nice bald black guy and colored in green. I just saw him as a black man.
Yeah.
And,
well, I mean, his human form, commonly he uses the black man. So I mean, you know.
Well, not in these days. Everybody was white in DC.
Yeah, that's true. Back in the originals,
but I just always saw him as a really nice green black guy, you know. And he was kind of when I say this, I liked the character. He seemed like a good guy. He did things, but he was kind of like a watered down Superman. He seemed to have Superman's powers. He flew. He was strong. I think he had a different kind of vision power, and he fell apart with flames, even a match.
Yeah.
Which I never quite understood. And he could turn invisible, I remember. So, I mean, I liked him. He was in the Justice League.
Yeah.
But I've seen in the 70s, the late 70s, he was in backup stories, and I don't know what comic, but they were trying to make him look more alien. So he had a really thick, furrowed brow, you know, and still the same guy, but they'd retell the origin, you know, where there was an astronomer, a scientist that did something and brought him over from Mars. And then the scientist had a heart attack. And he's stuck. He couldn't figure out how to get back to Mars. And, okay. You know, and I've seen them try to redo him and bring him in. The Justice League cartoon, I hate to be this guy, but I was really upset that they put him in the Justice League. And
He
But
belongs there.
I know, but I don't know. Like I said, he was a great character in Justice League. And he was more of a shapeshifter, and he wasn't a generic Superman. He was a massive character in Dharma Cook's New Frontier, which is I love, and I did like the character in that. But what I want to talk about was Absolute Martian Manhunter, which I was telling Rook when we were waiting for the guest that I saw it on Facebook. They had a few pages, and these look really neat. So when I went to the store the other day, I was looking at the issues, and they had like random issues, like I don't know, 5, 7, something like that. Just a few. And the store owner was talking to me, and I said I was looking for the, Absolute Martian Manhunter. Oh, good luck on that,
Mm-hmm.
which Rook had told me, good luck on the first issue, you'll never find it. And but he had the trade. I, for some reason, reading about online, it sounded like the trade was far away, but he had it and handed it to me, which is what I would rather have. And he said they should be doing a second one pretty soon. It's unbelievable. They the problem with DC when I was growing up was they would never break the status quo. Marvel did it after Jack Kirby left too, was an illusion of change. They'd veer off a little bit, but they'd always go right back to the way it is.
Yep.
But DC was the worst.
The reset button.
Yeah, but DC stayed with it all the time. There are certain things you could just never do, never veer from. And even Crisis of Infinite Earths, which I really enjoyed. It was a massive change, but not really until, honestly, Frank Miller, when he did Dark Knight. That, for some reason, that's when they basically opened the chute and everything just fell through.
Mm-hmm.
And but this one, he was John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, but he's also a police inspector. And basically, that's been consistent all the way through.
Yeah.
Well, this one, John Jones is a police inspector. It's not from Mars. He's a regular human, has a wife and son. And all of a sudden, I can't explain it because it's all kind of surreal, but there's a Martian that connects to him. And the Martian sees everything with smoke. But the John Jones isn't quite aware of him. And then he slowly, as the 6 issues I've read, he starts coming to terms with the fact that there is a Martian. But when people speak, or even when they think, when they draw it, they get smoke, colored smoke, like psychedelic smoke, coming out of their ears, coming out of their nostrils, coming out of their mouth. And it's basically showing their thoughts, and this police inspector can read it. And sometimes when they draw it, it's the police inspector, but then he's sitting in a chair, and next thing you know, it's the Martian. I mean, it's like really, it's there and it's not. And
So, are they saying that this version of Martian Manhunter is more like almost kind of like symbiotically bonded with John Jones?
yeah, that's exactly it. But it's not. Wonder what I did with the book.
Gosh, you can't find a book in all of those books?
I got piles on the floor. My wife is getting tired of it. Yeah, they don't quite explain it because it's like the Martian is physically not there to everybody else, but it is to this guy. And half the time he's not really sure who is what. And it seems like as the series goes on, they're more closely connected. But he starts using that as through his detective work. Like he could see when people are speaking if they're really for real. why they're thinking, but you can also see the whole backstory. I've said this my whole life, and well, it's not what I believe, it's just how it is. You can sit there and see somebody on the news, or if somebody, say at work, you hear somebody talking about somebody else that you don't know, they sound like they're terrible people, or like a idiot or a jerk or something. But when you sit down and actually talk to somebody, you usually kind of get the gist of what the person is. It's
Right.
not what these other people are saying. Um, I always say this about people on TV, celebrities. Sometimes they just seem wacko. I mean, maybe up to a point, but everybody is. If you sat there and told about anybody's life and you sensationalized it, you can bring out a lot of things that people have done. We've all done in the past that, not really a bad thing, but they can blow it out of proportion. But when you actually sit down and talk to somebody, you start seeing where they're coming from. You see what happened to them in the past, things they've done, choices they made, choices that have been done against them. And that's kind of what this is. So when he's talking to investigating crimes, there's a fire, there's all kinds of stuff happening in this. But I don't know, you're seeing everything from completely ongoing different perspectives, and it's kind of, you can get lost in it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's
So,
and he's. Oh, go ahead.
I hate to say this, but like just by the description, there was a Legion comic over at Marvel that kind of reminds me of some of what you're talking about. Not like the detective and everything like that, but the seeing the thoughts and like the way that they displayed them in certain things and aspects.
Yeah,
It's a far more interesting book to make it more cerebral and not physical. Like there's physically this green humanoid standing in front of someone who's never seen an alien, So that's really interesting that they would change it and do it like that. I wonder where it's eventually going to end up, though, because Martian Manhunter being a physical character that has physically been involved in some of the events in DC history. How are they going to change that? Yeah, the cover's gorgeous, man. That cover is absolutely gorgeous.
it's all the way through.
No, I'm interested to find out if John Jones the detective ends up more like a guy in the chair type character in the DCU, in the absolute DCU. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I don't know the absolute. I'm not familiar. I know that they've done. We were just talking off mic. There's Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I guess the Batman is extremely popular from what you were saying.
Oh, ridiculously. It's all I ever see online, people talking about that when it comes to the absolute stuff. Yeah, Batman, Green Arrow, Guy Gardner has shown up as well in the Absolute Universe. There's been a lot of characters showing up in the Absolute Universe. It's interesting what they're doing with some of them, like the Robins, not Robin. The Robins are all like running around in like high-tech mech suits and stuff.
Well,
Yeah. So,
it's
Harley
kind of
Quinn.
like, I keep thinking of Marvel's Ultimate Universe that you like so much. I mean, it's a different
Yeah,
thing.
this has a lot of that look and feel. It has a very interesting rewrite and re-idealing of classic characters to change them and do something far more interesting with them. Which was, Marvel's Ultimate Verse. Oh yeah, look at these pages.
And here's an
Oh,
example of John Jones with the green alien in one panel, but it's basically superimposed.
mhm.
And the alien will step in and do certain things, but it's not like people quite see it.
Yeah,
You see the next panel where the gunman's pointing at Jones,
yep.
and it just intertwines. But the writing is very poetic. Like I keep mentioning the smoke, but
Who's working
John
on this?
Jones, huh?
Who's working on this?
Um, Den's Camp and Javier Rodriguez.
Javier Rodriguez.
Now, Javier Rodriguez, I'm not familiar with him, but I was reading where I guess he's done some prominent stuff.
Oh yeah, I was going to say Javier Rodriguez has done a bunch of stuff.
But this one, I don't know. It's unique. It's the colors, a lot of primary colors to it, but it's another storytelling device in it. And this is it's unique. It's unique. I mean, now the stuff you were talking about, Legion, I've never read. I'm not even familiar with it, but I don't know. To me, this is something I've never read anything like it, and like I said, I've never cared for Martian Manhunter until now.
Hey, there you go. That's a great way for people to start going into the absolute verse, taking a look at characters that they're like, and then picking it up and being like, oh, okay, they did something interesting with this, or no, I don't like what they did with this,
You know,
Um,
a friend of mine I worked with, he was from Spain. We'd always talk about comics. I'd always ask him about Spanish comics. Come to find out his favorite comic was Asterix, which, as you know, I'm a big fan. I got a bunch of books. But one day he said, Don, you always ask me about this. This is back in the 90s. He said, you're always asking me. And he says, I can never answer you. He says, but there was one comic that was my very favorite. And I says, I'm going to ask my friend to mail me some so you can see them. It was Asterix. And I said, you don't have to, I have almost all the Asterix volumes. There's a few I'm missing, maybe 2 or 3. And they're one of the few comics my wife has read. She loved them. So I started bringing those in. And then after that, I brought in Valerian. Of course, I'm going to bring him in, Valerian. He ended up reading Gru, a lot of stuff like that. I loved them. But I guess as a thank you, he went to some place in Tampa, some restaurant, and they had a comic store, in the same shopping area. And he told his wife, oh, I got to go in there. I got to get something for Dawn. So he talked to the store owner, and he gave me a 4-issue series of Martian Manhunter.
Oh, nice.
And well, it was 4 issues. One, as I just told you, it wasn't anything I was interested in. I appreciate it. I still have the books. They mean something to me now. But it was another retelling of the Martian Manhunter, but it was still a typical late 90s, early 2000s superhero story.
Mm-hmm.
What got me about that was the ads in the book. Because at the point, I hadn't read a mainstream comic in years. There was no comic shop around me, and the stuff I was reading was always alternative comics, stuff I was trying to find. And I was still trying to track down Mobius volumes at the time. But the ads were like for Subway and stuff, but they were more like MTV-looking graphics. And again, Martian Manhunter, to me, he was just kind of a generic character that I never particularly cared for until now.
So now that you've stepped into DC's absolute universe, found that, I have to ask if you've heard anything about Marvel's new Midnight universe.
I think you talked about it in the past.
I believe yeah. Have you heard anything of the new stuff that's coming out?
No.
All right. So first off, if I've said this before, y'all forgive me. I'm gonna say it again. I hear the name Marvel Midnight for a new universe, horror-centric alternate reality, right? That's what Marvel's toting. I'm like, okay, let's rock and roll. Well, the first 3 titles have been announced. Who would you expect Marvel to dig into a horror-themed universe with as their first 3 major titles? Just give me your guess.
I'd say Ghost Rider, Werewolf by Night,
Good one.
and Tomb of Dracula.
Ooh, good ones. Good ones.
Okay, glad that's the test.
I mean, those are the easy ones to call out. Those are the low hanging fruit. let's try it again. I mean, let's dive into the darkness that is Marvel. The first thoughts in my head was, okay, we're going to end up with Ghost Rider, of course. I mean, Midnight Universe, Midnight Suns, hello, that's a given. Then I wasn't sure if we'd end up with like Morbius, Blade, something in that effect with the Tomb of Dracula. So we're on the same page with that. And then I thought about like, well, what about Man Thing and Werewolf by Night? Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh,
Yeah. Don, I'm going to tell you right now who the 3 titles are that they have chosen to launch the Marvel Midnight horror-centric universe. They're such obvious titles. You should have thought of it, because who isn't horrified and think dark and evil when you think about Spider-Man? And he's laughing right now, everybody. Okay, now, all right. If Spider-Man wasn't dark and evil enough for you, horror-centric universe, think about it. How about we bring in the X-Men?
really?
Yep, that's title number 2. Now, let's think deep and hard about what team up. We've already said X-Men. What team in the Marvel universe would be perfect to place into a horror themed universe as your launch vehicle? Fantastic
Avengers.
Four.
Well,
These are the 3 titles that Marvel is launching their horror themed universe under: Spider-Man, X-Men, and Fantastic Four?
well, didn't they have a Marvel Zombies a long time ago?
Well,
When they
yeah.
like all the Marvel characters turn into zombies?
Yeah, that was a whole universe of normal Marvel, but they all like started eating each other and turned into zombies. I mean, like some of them even ate Galactus and ended up with the power cosmic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, now I kind of want to read that.
Right? It's a good book. Marvel Zombies. Anybody hasn't read it? Fun, weird, dark and evil read. I love it. It's good
Well, I
stuff.
guess, if they're gonna the whole midnight thing, if they can have those books, they're probably is it a different universe or is it the same?
Yeah, I don't know. So the X-Men title, it centers around, I guess, vampires and mutants.
Hmm.
The Spider-Man title, I honestly just don't care. You know, honestly, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, do we really need to see a horrific 6-armed Spider-Man? We've already seen it, guys. We're about to see it probably in the new Spider-Man movie coming out. Spoiler alert for anybody who doesn't know their comics. If you have seen the trailer for Spider-Man Brand New Day, or One Last Day, whatever the hell day it is for the new Spider-Man movie, yeah, I'm expecting to see Man Spider. I'm expecting to see it.
Where he has the extra arms?
Yep. Yep. And he ends up with like the spider face and the eyes. And I don't think we're
Oh,
going to go that far, but I do have some anticipation to see parts of that character develop. Um, Fantastic Four. Let's talk for a second. This one, actually, I can get a little behind when we talk about it. Fantastic Four. This book explores a cosmic Lovecraftian tale of dread, where an obsessive scientist wraps himself and warps himself and 3 others. Okay, Lovecraftian horror with the Fantastic Four. I'm already seeing where this could go. I dig the idea of this one, but the other 2, I don't know. We've seen the Empire X-Men before. We've seen scary Spider-Man before. Do we need to see it again in an all new universe that you're basing everything out of horror? Well, like pull up some of your B and C and D level characters that can carry a horror story. I don't see Spider-Man carrying a body horror story. I don't see the X-Men carrying long term a vampire story, because they've already done both of them and they ended it.
I was thinking if I had a Marvel monster superhero team, it would be Morbius, Man Wolf, and Tiger.
Yeah.
Because to me, they were, they were supposed to be monsters, but they were kind of superheroes, you know, even though Man Wolf was really terrifying in the beginning, but
Yeah.
he
It's crazy though, but I mean, if you think about it, Marvel has done so much horror related stuff over the years, you know. So I find it hard to believe that the House of Ideas is going to launch an all new universe on ideas they've already done. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
It just it bothers me. I don't know why, but it does. So, with that, everybody, let's take a music break and be right back.
It works its way into your heart like a worm in a fruit. It eases up inside. Let it go. We're all people in this life, capable of living side by side. All it takes is optimism. Don't be mean, don't be mean, don't be mean, just be. Life is just a series of choices, so choose happiness. We're all people in this life, capable of living side by side. All it takes is optimism. Optimism will keep you moving forward. Optimism will help you hold your temper. All it takes is optimism. We're all people in this life, capable of living side by side. All it takes is optimism. All it takes is optimism.
You can hear our most recent 20 episodes on iTunes. If you would like to hear our older episodes, you can find them on our blog. Just go to bunchofdorks.com and click on the Cyclops.
Joe Dimension can be found on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. If you like what you hear, you can subscribe, rate, leave a review, tell a friend, or like us on Facebook. Thanks for listening.
All right, that was Trial by Noise, which was a band that my daughter turned me on to. She works with a drummer,
Nice.
and she sent me the link. I ended up buying the album off Bandcamp. You could buy a vinyl, which I don't listen to anymore, or you could buy the digital files, which I'm not a fan of, but that's the only two options. I found them awesome. 3-piece band, The drums and the bass really stand out. The guitar, I'm not, the guitar is something else too, but they're no longer together.
Oh,
And I mean, different reasons.
damn it.
I've never been
Why
in a
you got to
band.
introduce me to bands that aren't together anymore?
Well, I don't really feel bad about it because I at work, when Dallas and I, where we worked at, there's a lot of people that had bands or had been in bands, musicians. And I heard about a couple of people that had bands and what happened. I just made a comment. I stopped working and said, "Isn't that hard to keep a band together?" And both of them turned around and looked at me with these, yeah. Um, to me, a band is a band, and you're always together. But it's human beings, and you know. But when Holly told me that they different issues, different things, but a lot of it was being able to play that kind of complicated music constantly,
Yeah.
all the time. And my comment was, I'm really happy that they left behind, all these songs recorded.
Yeah.
They could have just disappeared and nothing. At least they left something. I do like to see live bands and stuff, but I really prefer listening to the recordings. You know, I I don't go out and see bands all the time. Like I said, I do enjoy it, but it's the recordings I enjoy the most, or live recordings too.
Yeah.
And so they left it, and we played a Japanese band, a couple of them, and they're referred to as math rock,
Yeah.
and that's what I kind of take these guys as. Really something else. I I will say that as much as I liked it, I don't know. I had to stop listening to it after the album was finished and then come back to it another time. It's just, it's too, all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
It's tight. I can't imagine it. And vocals,
Imagine what that would be like seeing something like that live. That's what I always, if you can produce live what you produce in a studio, that's where you impress me as a band.
a lot of times when you see a band live, if they're a live band, even though I said I enjoy the recordings, sometimes it's lost in the recording,
Mhm.
from what the live show is. And not always. And there's some cases where the recording sounds fantastic. You see the band and they're not really so much. But
But there's other bands out there that the live show is so different from the recording purposefully.
yeah,
There's a band Beartooth. If you go to one of Beartooth's shows, you're going to see a completely different show, way the song is presented, sang. I mean, he'll randomly take a song and start it out acoustically and then go into it like full blown. And I mean, he puts on a show. That's what I love. When you start playing with your music like that, that's some cool stuff.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Hey Don, I remember I said I didn't have any more tangents to go off on, but I do have actually one more.
I knew that was gonna happen.
Let me hold on. I gotta take a sip of water. All right, let's talk. You and I in Dallas recently, beginning of this year, did a purge on my collection.
Oh yeah,
Now you saw what went out. Uh, you and I both know that there was far more money in that box than what I got for it.
oh,
Recently at a friend's place, I had a guy walk into the door and he's holding a copy of Scooby Doo Apocalypse, like issue number like 5 or something like that,
but
right?
you love that series, didn't you?
I had
Yeah.
that series. I had the whole dang thing, all 30 some odd issues. And I had to chuckle and I was like, oh, I was like, you like that book? He goes, oh, yeah, man. He goes, dude, I've been hunting this book forever. He goes, they're worth a ton. And immediately I just stopped and went, what did you just say to me? And he goes, well, they're worth a ton of money. And he goes, "Why are you into comics?" Brand new person, don't know him well. So getting to know each other now. And I laughed and I said, "Not only am I into comics, but I had all 30 some odd issues of that series." And he goes, "You have it?" And I was like, "No, I had it. I just got rid of it recently." To which he says to me, "They were worth thousands."
Uh,
Yeah. You know that feeling when somebody says something to you like that, that pit in your stomach,
yeah.
just everything drops into. Um, so here's the rant. If you're new to collecting comic books, get a better idea of what things are valued at before you tell people that they're worth thousands.
Yeah.
Most of these books are only worth their cover.
Yeah.
Several of them are worth anywhere from 20 to 40 bucks. A mint condition #1 graded can go for like 150. Anybody who's listened to the show for more than 5 minutes knows I'm not minting and I'm not going to slab and grade my stuff. That's not me. So I just have to laugh at this idea of like somebody looking at me and going, they're worth thousands. To
Are they
find
really?
out that like, out of 36 issues, I'm probably out, I don't know, 220 bucks.
You know, as I say all the time on the show, this is my feelings on it. I look at comic books as just comic books. I mean, it's reading material. It's fun. It makes me happy. I to this day,
Yep.
But I've never. That's not true. I did sell some comics. When my wife and I got married, my wife and I just got out of the Navy. She just came from overseas, and we moved. I was living in L.A. She came and lived with me in L.A. Then we lived in San Diego. Then we lived in San Francisco. Then we went where I grew up in Oklahoma City. And then we moved here to St. Petersburg. And a month after that, we had our first anniversary. So my wife saw the United States coast to coast. I'd never been past Texas. And a lot of trees on the other side. um, where I'm from, you can see the horizon all the time because it's just, it's open. But I I sold probably not quite 2/3 of my collection, but a lot of stuff I'd had since I was a kid. And I took it to the store. Oklahoma's going through this is in the late '80s, mid to late '80s, and oil prices were down. That's Oklahoma's sole economy. So nobody was buying everything. Everybody's leaving Oklahoma. So I sold all this comics for about $100, which at the time I was happy about. And I kept all the stuff that dear to me. But the guy later, I was talking to him, and he said, "Well, there was some." He said, "You got a lot of garbage in there." It wasn't garbage; it's just not resellable stuff. But it was
Right.
comics I liked.
Got a lot of good reading material, but not anything with a high dollar value.
Exactly. But he was talking, but he thought he could do something with a couple of books in there. But one of them was Hulk 181. um, I say this on the show. I've said it many times. I was 12. I was at in Oklahoma City. They have a place called the French Market Mall. It was over by my house. I used to ride my 10-speed bike over there, and they had a little bookstore with 2 spinner racks in it. And I saw it. It said introducing the world's first Canadian superhero. He had claws. I thought that was awesome. The Hulk wasn't. Everybody at school would talk about comics. They always talk about valuable comics. The first 4 issues, The Shadow, DC's Tarzan by Joe Kubert, Barry Smith's Conan, stuff like that. And I was the kid that just seemed to buy anything. And Herb Trimpe was drawing the Hulk, which wasn't an artist people really liked that much. He was always considered a hack, which isn't true because a lot of people did like his stuff. But every time he said, "You bought that?" I said, "He's got claws." I was 12, you know.
Yeah.
And but the comic never really meant anything to me, and so it was in the pile. And I don't have any reservations about it. But in 1991, I'm in San Francisco. My nephew's with me, and I'm hitting all the comic shops in the area. And in one of the shops we went to, my nephew, his favorite character was Wolverine. His comic collection was all Wolverine issues and the Predator from Dark Horse.
Huh.
And that was his whole collection. And I was really surprised there were so many different issues and miniseries of Wolverine. I just knew of the one that Chris Claremont and Frank Miller drew, you know, back in the early 80s. And but they had Hulk 181, and Jarrow was just freaking out over it on the wall. $375 in 1981 or 1991. You gotta be kidding me. I wasn't upset. I mean, like I said, we needed money, we needed space, we were moving a lot.
Yep.
I couldn't be carrying around all those comics. So I don't have any problem with it. But when I was buying my first Macintosh, I had to make space in this little room I'm in. So I sold a big chunk of my collection, but I was selling them individually. And I had some X-Men comics, the Dave Cockrum, the new X-Men stuff, early. I found them all at a used bookstore in 2 different bookstores downtown Oklahoma City.
Right.
These things were well read. I got them for a nickel. Okay, got them for a nickel, but I mean they were ragged. Anyway, I took them to the store and I sold them for like, you know, somebody on consignment. Somebody bought them for like $45 for the first issue with Phoenix in it. I had the Amazing Spider-Man with the Punisher, the first, and I always liked that one. You know, Ross Andrew drew it. It was really neat. And that was in good shape. And somebody bought that for $95.
Huh.
And okay, I mean, it was a book I liked, but I just needed to make space. And I was happy that somebody that loved the Punisher so much had it, you know, bought it. But I feel bad, you know, I've got these for a nickel or a quarter or 15 cents. And I just thinking $95. Now I did buy it again as a true believer, you know, for $1. But you know, when the internet became a thing, you know, that's when in the 90s the comic book collapsed. You know, the whole comic part of it was the death of Superman and all the other stuff. You know,
In pretty rapid succession, we had Death of Superman, and I feel like Death of Captain America came sometime. I feel like shortly after. It just felt like the industry was insincere in the late 90s.
it was a money grab, but also I don't think that the company's creators are meaning for that to happen. The Superman thing was just a big thing. In my church, they had a party one night for basically it was a really nice time. We were all at somebody's house, and even though you listen to the show, you know I talk a lot, but in real life I don't really. And my daughter was a toddler, and people were going around and introduced themselves, and I just basically said I was in the Navy. You know, we came from Oklahoma, and that's it.
Yeah.
And but other people in the group that knew me said, no, he likes to draw comics, and you know he likes comic books. And then all of a sudden, all these people, are you reading The Death of Superman? And I said, no. Well, you know they're going to kill him.
Yeah.
Well, anybody that reads comics knows that
You don't kill your cash cow.
yeah, there was 5 at the time. There was 5 comic books that Superman was the main character in. He was the title character or the main character. He's not going to stay dead.
No.
And I just said that, and they're all looking. No, you're going to kill him. I mean, everybody. I go to the comic store, and I appreciated it. The people that ran the store would say, "Hey, I saved something for you." It was one of those Death of Superman issues.
With the black cover and everything, all
Oh,
back.
yeah, but this is even before that happened. You know,
Oh,
it was,
wow. Yeah.
And it was actually, and they said people were calling, people were coming in, And I said, look, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's very nice, but I really have zero interest in this. And basically they sold 6 million copies of all these things. There's only 1 million comic readers in the United States at the time. I don't know if there's that many now. Who's going to buy all this? Yeah. And people thought it was going to finance their retirement, their
Oh,
kids'
yeah.
college. And there was people at work that would come up to me and said, hey, Don, I heard you like comics. Yeah. I have the Death of Superman. Okay.
Yeah. And
And they would stare at me and just keep watching me. Well, I have it. Okay.
yeah, I have
I
fun.
guess I was supposed to fall on my hands and knees and beg them to sell it to me for,
Dude,
a
that's
massive amount of money.
exactly what people expected with the death of Superman. I had the same thing with the death of Captain America. I mean, for crying out loud. I mean, like I literally had a guy with the death of Superman. Now you have to understand this was 90 what that they did Death of
Superman
Superman.
was, I think, 92.
So I'm 12, okay? And I end up with a copy of, oh, no. It was a whole entire year later. I ended up with a graphic of the whole thing. Okay. Won it at a convention as a door prize. That is the only way I read Death of Superman. Okay. And the hilarious part that followed was a family member seeing me read the graphic and was like, hey, I have the original. And I look at him like, oh, that's cool. You know it's worth a bunch of money, right? I'm like, I don't think so. He's like, yeah. No, it's worth a ton of money. No, I don't think so. Well, they killed Superman and he's dead forever. No, he's not. He's already back. What do you mean he's already back? I'm like, yeah, your comic is worthless. Nothing like a 12, 13-year-old telling a grown-ass adult that their cash cow retirement fund is gone.
A friend of mine at work had the trade. And he just said, you want to read it? Yeah, sure. I'll read it.
Yeah.
And the only part that I really meant anything to me was there was a kid came home from school and had a mother and had a little baby daughter. And the kid came in and she said, how was school? She said something about Superman came to the school and had a talk with, a big assembly, and he talked. He's basically saying, he said, stay in school, stay straight, like, what a Boy Scout.
Yeah.
The mother was talking about, well, that's kind of important. And the kid was like, well, Guy Gardner's who I'd want to hear from, which, must have been rough.
Yeah.
I'm in the comic. And then he was upset that they didn't have soda, which I understand. You're at school, you come home, and you kind of like to have a soda, and they don't. And the mother was the baby was kind of teething or something, and she didn't have a chance to go to the store. And, he was upset. I think maybe marital problems with the husband, I don't know, or the husband left or something. And the kid lashed out, and the mother was crying. And I didn't enjoy the fact that was happening. But
I need to go back and read The Death of Superman. I don't remember this at all.
it was in, I don't know what issue it was. It was a trade.
I am completely blanked right now. I don't remember this.
And then all of a sudden, Doomsday comes through fighting Superman and destroys the house. And then, or I don't know, Doomsday was there. And then the boy screams out, "You can't hurt my mother." It completely changed.
Okay.
But that was the one part. And I told my friend, "What do you think?" Because, well, I liked that part. But part of it was, I had a very small daughter. She was still a baby. And I kind of related to that, even though I didn't have a teenage son.
Right.
But I was a kid at one point in my life, and I could relate to it, and I liked that. And the rest, and then a good friend of mine years later, he had a lot of books on tape, and he had the Death of Superman, his books on tape.
Really?
And if you're sitting there working, we worked a lot of overtime where I worked at. You're just sitting in the computer for 8 to 10 hours a day, every day, sometimes.
Yep.
And yeah, it'd be nice. And so I listened to it, and one, it was kind of weird that all of a sudden Lex Luthor had a Scottish accent. I don't know where that came from. Somebody told me that I guess he had kryptonite poisoning, because I did read it when John Byrne was drawing it, that he had a kryptonite ring to keep Superman away. But I guess it caused a cancer in him and
Oh my God,
ate
that's
away his body.
hilarious.
So I guess he cloned himself, or he had I don't know, some Scottish kid, and he took over the body or something. Okay. But okay. I mean, I listened to it, and I appreciated getting to listen to it, but it wasn't something that stayed with me.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing that did stay with me, I did enjoy when I went to the comic shop, and they always had the covers or posters of the covers up in the windows of the
Yeah.
store. And that was kind of fun to see, him and Doomsday, the different covers, because they ran across 3 or 4 different series. And I'd read in books about, the artists and writers of those different things, what they're doing. And at one point, I guess after Superman died, they had one that really got me. It was the Kansas field, and Pa Kent's laying there. I guess he had a heart attack, and Pa Kent's running over to him. And that kind of gets me, but I don't know. Not for me, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, everybody thought I must have begged them for it, and I'd pay thousands of dollars for
I know.
it.
I know. Like, here's the best part. Okay, so you ready? For a raw uncirculated copy, you're looking around $10 to $30.
Oh, okay.
A graded near mint 9.8, you might be looking at around 180 to $200.
Okay, so they are worth something.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you got to find somebody who doesn't own a copy of it, though.
Well, see, that's the other issue was, there's a series I found. It was a 4-issue series. I found 3 issues in the dollar box. I can't find the 4th issue anywhere. Even when I look online, and I'd be willing to pay money, it's just not there. And our friend Scott Connor, I was talking to him because he has all the issues. And when I told him this, well, you'll probably find it in a dollar box somewhere. And
Yeah.
there's been some books I found the dollar box, and when we're talking about it, you look it up, and it's like $15. Well, maybe not the copy I found.
Yeah, not the copy you have. But the other part of it also is, like, stuff like that ends up in dollar boxes at shops where it's never gonna sell.
Yeah.
You know, a $15 book, yeah, that's awesome. It's been in the 15, the 10 to $20 boxes for like the last 5 years, and no one's even looked at it. It's so not looked at it that there's actually a layer of dust across the top of it. So what do you do with it? You throw it in a dollar box, and that's what happened to, like, I don't know, how many copies? 60 million copies of Death of Superman. So
They said they sold a circulation with 6 million issues.
6 million issues. Okay, so 6 million issues. I'm going to take a wild guess and say 4.8 million issues ended up in dollar boxes.
Yeah, and like I said, as comic books, a lot of times people don't take care of them, or even if they try to take care of them, different people read them, they disappear, they, get tossed, they wear out. So they're probably not all out in circulation now.
Well, just don't come at me talking about the value of your comics, people. Okay, unless you actually if you're listening to this show, yeah, come at me with the value of your comics, because you probably know what you're talking about.
Well, see, that's something else. When you were talking about Chew, that Image series,
oh yeah,
you had the first issue.
first
now,
two.
It surprised me, because you were talking about how much it was going for at the time. What?
Yep.
Because now it's a different world, because the Absolute Martian Manhunter, in the past, if you missed those issues, that's it.
Yeah.
They might sometimes do a second printing, but that was it. Now it's a trade. And usually the trades, they print a bunch of them, and sometimes they reprint and reprint and reprint. If you miss the trade, you might get it a year or two later. So I was surprised. And then you got the internet, a lot of times you can read stuff online if you want. And I'd rather have the print copy. But I was surprised that a modern comic, a lot of the comics people talked about in the 70s when the collecting became a thing and they started realizing, it was on the Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder when they had a guy with the first issue of Action Comics.
Ooh.
I never saw that. It was back in like 73 or 74. And my aunt was talking to me because she thought it was odd that I liked comics so much. But it changed when she was going on about it, because that thing was worth at the time $1,200, which
Yep.
was in 73, 74, big chunk of change for something that cost a dime in the past. Saying that, a dime in the past, kids couldn't afford to pay a dime for a comic. They'd have to pool their money together, and it would be a community object they'd all trade and share.
Yeah, like 5 people would own one comic.
Yeah. A dime when I was a kid could buy a candy bar. Comic books when I was a kid were 12 cents. And that sounds like nothing now, but it wasn't back then. If you got 50 cents for your allowance, you were rich.
Yep.
And anyway, she was talking about it, and she said it was in a plastic bag, which nobody heard of at the time. And after that, the comic thing became a big collect, and it's going to be a collector's item. And when comic shops opened up, as soon as the month ended and the comics were off the rack, they were put in the plastic bag, stuck in the back issue bin, and had $2 above the price. So back then, comics were 35 cents. All of a sudden, they were $2. So if you missed it, you were going to pay, buddy.
Yep.
And
I miss those days.
And Stan Lee, one time in an interview, was talking about it years and years later. And he said, honestly, the reason those old Golden Age comics were so costly, because most of them are gone. They didn't survive World War II.
Yep.
Because of the war effort, they had paper drives. And they were, of course, there was the book burnings in the 50s. But a lot of the times, they would take newspaper, comic books, anything like that, recycle it for the war effort.
Yep.
And a lot of the Golden Age comics did not survive. And that's what made them so valuable. And when the internet became a thing in the 90s, after the death of Superman, and it's when Marvel did all the new, what was it, X-Force, Adjutive, Spider-Man, all the Image guys, when they were doing those Marvel comics. That was another thing you kind of dropped, and then Image when that first came out. But when the internet came about, all of a sudden they saw what the circulation was, how many comics were out there. I said, they're not really that worth that kind of money you're thinking, guys.
Yeah.
And that's when the market dropped out. So anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went on a rant. I'm sorry we
Absolutely we did. But I had a great time hanging out, talking with you, Don. Just real quick, I have one more. I actually know a guy who won't talk to me anymore because I told him his comics weren't valuable.
That was me. It took me a long time to get over.
Don's like, I'm done. Click.
I'm done with you, Rock. You're dead to me.
Think about that. Like, this dude came at me with a bunch of crap ass comics and was like, yo, look what I just found. I'm like, that's cool. You should give those to your kids to read. He's like, no, man, don't lowball me. I was like, lowball you? I didn't make you an offer because I don't
Oh, you think you're gonna buy them?
like, don't lowball me, bro. Don't lowball you. I'm not making an offer. It's just the most amazing thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, I guess that's what gets me. Is like, I guess he thinks comics are crack. It's like,
Yeah.
Please sell them to me.
Oh my god, I want that. I want your crappy issue of Spawn number 36 that looks like it's been under a tarp in the backyard for the last 20 years.
Well, saying that though, there are people that probably love Spawn 36. I mean,
oh yeah.
when you bring a thing of comics, and you've always pointed this out, that every one of us on the show would choose different ones.
Oh yeah.
So I understand. It's just that if somebody brought me a thing of comics, there might be one or two that I would like, but I'm not going to like the whole pile.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to pay all that money for it so you can retire.
Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. This has been Ranting with Don and Rook.
Yeah, I hope we didn't peel any paint off the walls, people. Sorry about that.
Until next time, everybody.
Read
More
comics.
I don't know if we got that.
I kind of think we did.
If you would like to be part of the show, draw a fake comic book cover and we'll use it to promote our new episodes online.
If you'd like to promote your music, send us your MP3 and you can have a musical spotlight on the show. Plus, we'll add you on a link on our music page.
We have t-shirts designed available for you. So you can find them on the sidebar of the blog. Listen to the show, wear the shirt.